VocalEye Almost Live Zoom. You're just a place that I know. Hosted by Amy Amantea, with special guest Adrian Glynn McMorran.
So a big welcome to all my VocalEye friends and those who are tuning in. Welcome to this VocalEye Almost Live event. I'm Amy Amantea. I use she, her pronouns, and I am the Associate Director here at VocalEye. I'm your host for these Almost Live events, and I'm a proud member of this blind community, this very close to my heart community. And thank you for welcoming me into your space on Wednesday nights, because I enjoy having you in my space. I just want to extend a big thank you again for you all for showing up on Wednesday nights, for donating your time and your money and your thoughts and your letters, and just making this space really happy. It's the highlight of my week. I always say that. And so I'm very grateful to spend time with you all, both in this space and outside in the world, if you're local in the area. And some of you folks, I've been able to come to your province and your city and spend some time with you. So that's really been lovely for me. I recently got to spend some time with Carrie Kajewski, who we happened to be in the same city at the same time. So shout out to Carrie for that. And thanks for all those testimonial letters that you all send in. We read them, we respond to them, we share them with donors, and they make a big impact on how we are able to offer our programming. If you happen to be connecting to us through our YouTube channel, of course, we hope that you like and subscribe, and you can join us also and support us by, checking us out through our newsletter, visiting our website, coming to any of our shows, buying our 50/50 tickets, which if you happen to be watching today, which is Wednesday, November the 26th, 2025, our 50/50 tickets are available on our website, vocaleye.ca. So please buy some 50/50 tickets and to help support VocalEye. It all goes to this very, very important programming. I want to also acknowledge that VocalEye is broadcasting to you all from the traditional and unceded or stolen lands of the Coast Salish peoples, in particular the Squamish, Musqueam, and Tsleil-Waututh First Nations. So I always try and find something that I feel is potentially relevant to programming we're sharing, or something that's happening in history, or just things that I want to learn about as a settler person. And so I thought I would do a little bit of research, learning about land displacement. We haven't talked about that in a while, and I wanted to make a connection between land displacement and the impact that it had and has continued to have on Indigenous peoples, in particular the folks who are the lands that I'm settled on and the lands that VocalEye is broadcasting from. So that's the Squamish, Musqueam, and Tsleil-Waututh First Nations. Land displacement is profoundly and continues to profoundly shape the lives, the cultures, and the futures of Indigenous peoples in what is now known as British Columbia. And I've shared this fact with you before, but a good reminder for us all is that 95% of the lands in BC are unceded or stolen lands, which is important to remember. And so I want to just share with you a little bit about what I learned. And I think the caveat for me is that I'm sure you can imagine when you look up displacement and the impacts on Indigenous peoples and Squamish, Musqueam, and Tsleil-Waututh, when you put that all into your search engine, you find more information than you could possibly read in a lifetime. There is so much learning that a person can do, so many perspectives that they can read about. And so what I'm offering you in these couple of minutes of things that I've learned is a vast summary that barely touches the depths of the vast experiences, understanding the harm, and only the beginnings of an acknowledgement of the wrongdoings of colonialism. So I just want to share that with you because I don't want you to think that, this little summary of the things that I've been reading for the past couple of days is like the be all and end all of people's experiences. So in this region, the lands that VocalEye is broadcasting to you from, Squamish, Musqueam, and Tsleil-Waututh, the land displacement has again been profound, and it's been ongoing. These nations were pushed from their ancestral villages, the sites that they lived on, the fishing grounds, the harvesting territories, through settlement, through industry, through imposition of laws, through restrictive movement, through governance. They've been denied access to ceremony and access to the land that they have stewarded, to their water systems, to where they harvest their food. The list is endless, right? They've been forced onto reserve lands and into residential schools. Their cultural teachings, languages, and traditional food systems are tied directly to the land. And the forced separation has caused deep harm to community, knowledge transfer, and sovereignty. Land back movements, legal cases, ceremony revival, youth leadership, cultural resurgence, and nation-to-nation governance shows that Indigenous relationships and land are powerful and enduring. One of the stories that I remember being told often is one from the Sanok area, which is Kitsilano kind of area where Bard on the Beach is, where we go often. And it's always made a big impact on me about displacement and being taken away from land and place, where families had gathered and the men went on a hunting party. And when you go on a hunting party, you don't go for a weekend, right? It's not a holiday. You go for a long time and you follow the game on the land. You live off the land, you read the land, you work with the land, you hopefully find game and pack it up and bring it home and feed your community. So that takes weeks, months, maybe. It's a process. And when they came back home to their lands, what they didn't know was that settlers had come in, taken all of the family members, put them on a barge, and sent them over to the North Shore. Also fine and dandy, but these folks didn't know that that was happening, and they come back and their families are gone. They don't know where they've gone to. They don't know what happened to them. They don't have any means of being able to search for them or know in what direction to look for them. And so imagine the trauma, the generational trauma, the trauma of being separated from your family, your children, your spouses, your ancestors, your relatives, your community, and having it's like they just vanished from thin air. You have no idea what's happened to them. And when I think about, in today's day, how privileged we are to be able to just, pick up a phone and say, perhaps pick up a phone and say, oh, where are you today? Oh, I'll catch a bus and I'll meet you on the other side of the bridge or whatever. Those are things that didn't exist in that time. And these were atrocities that were done to a community without people thinking that it was going to be an atrocity. Oh, it's just simply moving some people off of some land, That was maybe the thought process of that. But how tragic it would have been for those family members, those communities, to not ever potentially have seen these loved ones again when they're just on the other side of the water, and how we just use just in air quotes. They're just on the other side of the water. So land displacement had a lot to do with human displacement and the legacy that carries on in your family generation after generation. So that's a real profound thing when I think about land displacement and people displacement. So as a settler person, I know this is a long thought for me, but as a settler person, I feel like my job is to find places where these stories are being told, to support this work as an ally, and to not be a part of the barriers of denying the truth and preventing the progress, and to offer these things that I have learned and shared to other folks who are settlers and want to learn about the things that I've learned about, but to find a way to encourage them to be on their own journey to seek truth and to listen to truth and to become an ally for themselves. So that's what I'm offering today in terms of displacement and harm, and for my land acknowledgement for today. So thank you for listening. I think this is lifetime learning. That's how I feel about it. So these land acknowledgements offer me the opportunity to continue lifelong learning. So with that, another welcome from me on your Wednesday, November the 26th, 2025. And tonight we're offering you our Almost Live event number 199. 199. And tonight we have a special guest in the space. It is Adrian Glynn, and our special presentation is You're Just a Place That I Know. Come on in, Adrian. I have a square. There's
There we
Adrian.
go.
Adrian has a square. How are you, my
I
friend?
don't, I don't know those shortcuts. I should learn them. I'm still like pointing and clicking and
Well, you're not responsible for creating your own highlighted square. That's why we do it for you. So there's no stress, right?
that's great. Yeah, I
Yeah.
feel taken care of. Hey, that's one of the greatest land acknowledgements I've ever heard. Thank you so much for that.
Mm.
I didn't know that about the Sanok area, that specific story.
Wow.
I knew a bit about the Sanok area, but not the hunting party returning to find their family gone. I mean, yeah, that's
I'm
unbelievable.
sure it's one of 1,000 experiences, right?
Of course. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
but
and it'll be interesting to see how that sort of dovetails into this show, which, as we're going to discuss and
yeah,
find out. And the show is so much about um, displacement coming from other lands, and so many of us are who are non-Indigenous Canadians and have these refugee stories in our background. It's easy to forget that these almost refugee stories exist within people that are from this land, which is
yes,
kind of crazy. Yeah.
yeah. It is one of the reasons why I wanted to offer it is because displacement looks like many things to many people. And sometimes I think that you're right, like these stories get intertwined. And then I think sometimes there's some, I don't know if this is the right term, but maybe survivor's guilt, or you know what I mean? Like there's some guilt around, well, I would, I come from another place too. We all come from different places. And like, who has the right to tell what stories and all of these different things? And
Right.
that might be a question that we are all asking ourselves all the time. And maybe there's no answer to that. Like everybody comes from somewhere. But I
Yeah.
think the conversation comes from perhaps how we have treated people that came after or before where we are. And why aren't we
Absolutely.
just better
Yeah.
people to each other? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
why is that not a thing? You know?
Yeah. I mean,
Anyway,
that's a pretty good question.
yeah, I don't know. It just doesn't seem that hard, but I digress because we know that it's not that simple. So,
Yeah.
I want to backtrack because I told you I was going to ask this question because I think it's endearing. But I introduced you as Adrian Glynn, and your theater piece has you a three name and one name. So you're going to tell us this lovely story about why you have so many names attached to your artist statements, your various artist statements. So tell us this tale because I love it.
Oh, I think you've built it up too much. It's
No, I
just
love it.
silly. Uh, well, Glenn is my middle name. McMorran is my surname. So I grew up basically as Adrian McMorran. That's how people knew me. And when I started out as an actor, I was going by my name, Adrian McMorran. Then I started to move into music, and I was like, well, Adrian McMorran is quite a mouthful to say as like a singer-songwriter. And I want to differentiate myself a little bit from like the acting and the sort of like some what I thought were some dumb TV shows I'd been on and stuff. So I was like, I'm gonna go with Adrian Glynn for music. Okay, so we got Adrian McMorran, the actor. We got Adrian Glynn, the musician. Um, then I was like, well, I want people who've maybe seen me on TV to find out about my music. So maybe I'll add the Glynn into the acting name. So then my like name for TV and film stuff became Adrian Glynn McMorran. And so then now when you get this show, which is like it is a music show, it is a concert of my music, but it is also sort of a theater show. I'm sort of acting. And so when the Arts Club asked me like, what do you want? How do you want us to credit you? And I was like, I panicked and I was like, I guess all three, Adrian Glenn McMorran. And now I sort of regret it because I was like, but Adrian Glenn's more of my music name. I should have gone with that. So anyways, so here we are with the triple name, seven syllables, I think. That's a lot of
7 syllables.
syllables.
I love it.
Yeah.
So we're going. I'm leading you down this little track because I want our audience to know that they can find your music also because we got a
Yeah.
lot of music lovers in this audience. So
It,
while we're going to see this theater piece, which is also a music piece, which is also an acting piece, which is a combination of all the things that you do, I suppose, and maybe many more. Are you also a juggler and a state walker and things like that. We don't know
Not yet.
about
Not
yet.
yet.
Okay, to be continued. Um,
Yes.
if folks wanted to find your music, they would Google Adrian Glynn,
Yes.
Glynn.
Glynn. Yeah. So that's my handle on social media is Adrian Glynn, and I'm on Spotify as Adrian Glynn. I'm also I have a folk band called The Fugitives, and that's that's my other music project. So you can find that under The Fugitives, or the handle is at Fugitives Music. So, and that's on like all the streaming platforms and stuff as well. Although there is another The Fugitives that's like a metal band from England, and that's not us.
That's not you. I got it.
So if you put on a song and you hear like double kick drums and heavy electric guitars, be like, that's not the Canadian folk band.
Gotcha. Maybe we need to have a folk music night.
Yeah.
That would be the okay, this is how I show how little I know about sports. Is that a hat trick 3 times?
Yeah, good.
Is
Good
that a hat
job.
trick? Okay,
Yeah.
I'm getting
If I
some.
had a hat, I would throw it at you, but I
There
don't.
you go.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, because folks may or may not remember that you joined us for the feature that we did called "Ladies and Gentlemen, Mr. Leonard Cohen," which is a National Film Board documentary, and you were a special guest walking us through that because you had some special relationship to that project.
That's right. Yeah.
So this is your second time in our space, and we haven't scared you away yet. So I don't know. I think maybe a folk night could be fun. Lots of music lovers in this space.
Awesome. Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, and thank you for having me back. It was really that was really fun last time. It was fun to be with Ben Elliott, my
Mm-hmm.
cohort from the Leonard Cohen Theater Show for many years.
Yep.
But yeah, and I'm back for 199.
One
That's
ninety
like
nine.
that's incredible. You guys have done this almost 200 times. That's
I know,
really
right?
amazing.
Right?
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty excited about it. So I hope that we can keep this thing rolling because I don't know what I would do with my Wednesday nights. Selfishly, what am I supposed to do with my Wednesday nights? Um, so you're just a place that I know. Give us a little background. Why? How?
yeah.
Typical.
So I don't know if people out there have ever heard of the Banff Center for the Arts, or Banff Center for the Arts and Creativity. If you haven't, it's this incredible place in the mountains, just outside downtown Banff, and it's devoted to creating various forms of art. People get grants to go there and bursaries, and they have programs for different types of art. So poets will go to work on their poetry, or pianists will go to like practice Bach's Goldberg variations for 2 weeks straight. Or in my case, I was accepted to like musicians in residence program in 2018. Um, and you get up there and they give you like a little hut in the forest. Like they have all these different facilities. Like I don't want to make it sound like all a bunch of huts. They have all these big buildings and concert halls, and like there's a hotel. But for the musicians' residence, they have these little standalone huts. You don't sleep in them. They're each equipped with a full grand piano, and they stock it with the like instruments that you ask them to. So, you ask them for like, I want this electric guitar and an amp and a keyboard, and they give you everything. And the idea is you just spend 3 weeks in there creating whatever it is you want to create. That sounds fun. It's also really terrifying. I got there and I had huge imposter syndrome. I was like I think Feist, the artist Feist. Feist had just been there, and I was like, "Why? What am I doing here?" And I remember sitting in that little hut and staring at the wall and just being like, "Oh my God, what do I do? What do I do? What do I write?" Um, then I remembered that about 6 months earlier, I had had this conversation with my aunt Genya, or Ukrainian for aunt is teta. So my teta Genya, who is my mom's younger sister, um, and she knows a lot of the stories of our Ukrainian background on my mom's side, and I'd recorded the conversation. And so I was like, I'm gonna listen to that conversation. So I listened back. It was like 45 minutes long. I listened to the whole thing, and as I was listening, I was like starting to get some ideas, and I think I talked about this a bit in the show, but the very first song I wrote, or started to write based off of these conversations, was this story that my teta Genya told me about my grandfather being this great Ukrainian folk dancer. Um, and he's dancing in the refugee camp where he met my grandmother. Um, and he's dancing for the soldiers so that they'll throw him money and throw him cigarettes. And I was like, that's such a beautiful image. And so that started to become a song. And then I was sort of off to the races. I spent the next 2 weeks just like crafting songs out of like some of these stories. And yeah, and that's where it all started. I went back to Banff a year later and kept working on that project. And then worked to get some money together, and I made the album of those songs. I recorded that in 2023, and it got released in when did it get it got released? No, it got released, yeah, early 2024. And then so it was just that was we made an album, we put out the album. Um, then it was time to make some kind of a CD release concert. And so the band that had played on the record, which you're going to see tonight, they all were into it to do the CD release concert, and that was great. But normally as a singer-songwriter, I'll tell stories on stage about the songs and stuff, but I'll usually do it off the cuff. I usually won't plan it out that much. I'll just kind of like make some jokes and tell like, a bit of a story here and there, not really plan it out that much. But in this case, I was like, well, these songs are very specific. There is sort of like a narrative arc to the order that they go in. I think I want to actually like script this a little bit. So I actually worked on writing it out the way I wanted to write it out and memorizing it a little bit more like a theater show, right? Um, and then I realized that like, well, hang on, everyone in my band has like cool backgrounds. They all come from really different backgrounds, and I'm sure have great ancestral stories of their own. I'd be remiss not to, I don't want to be the only one talking about my ancestry up there. It's and how would that look? Like the one white guy is up there blabbing about his ancestry, and nobody else is. Um, and so I kind of put it out to a couple people in the band, and they were into it too. And so it was really organic. It's just kind of like they wrote a story, and we're like, great, let's include that. And then we got like uh the woman who you see who starts the show, Beverly Dobrinsky. She's a national treasure, man. She spent the 90s going across the prairies collecting old Ukrainian songs from like these really old Ukrainian women who were still alive, who had come over at the beginning of the 20th century and still had these old songs going back to Ukraine. And so she like went with little recording equipment and recorded these songs. And anyway, so she's a part of the show, and she opens it up. And so anyway, and so it became the concert. And so that what we're gonna watch tonight is that inaugural concert. And it was one night, and we just did it. We didn't know what to expect, and it went really, really well. And so from that, we've got a couple theater offers. And so the Arts Club show version of this show, which is going to open in January, that's going to be sort of the next step. So it'll actually be even more theatrical than what you're going to see tonight. Like there'll be more planned out lighting cues, a more planned out set, and sort of transitions between, this song to that song, like more sort of theatrical fine tuning. But it's kind of cool that you guys are seeing like this raw first, like the concert that started it all.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it because what we're doing at the Arts Club is obviously the Arts Club's going to market this with the support of VocalEye as a low vision friendly show, which
Great.
basically means that the show will be 95% accessible based on storytelling and dialogue alone.
Right.
So it doesn't need a traditional describer, and maybe there will be like a pre-recorded audio file that will go on the Arts Club website and probably the VocalEye website too, so that if you wanted to hear like set descriptions and those kinds of things before you go in, that would be provided for you. But you could basically sit in your seat and follow along without too much difficulty by sound alone.
Yeah.
The opportunity for us to have this preview for folks who live locally means that we'll have some opportunity to kind of get to know you all a little bit, the format a little bit, because we will have a specific show on February the 1st, which will be a VocalEye supported show. So in addition to it being low vision friendly, VocalEye comes in with additional access offers like sighted guides that meet people at bus stops to escort them to the theater to reduce that barrier. You
Great.
know,
Yeah.
maybe subsidized ticket pricing,
Yeah.
seats that are put on hold in accessible areas. So that'll be like an extra layer. And the VocalEye community will be invited to go to some social at the local restaurant. So like Arts Club's not going to provide that, but VocalEye will assist in providing the experiential stuff around the show for
Oh,
that
that's
one
so
night.
cool.
But if you're
Yeah.
blind or low vision, you could go to any of those shows and get the same sort of like accessible show experience.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this is kind of a companion piece to anybody who either missed this night, doesn't live locally, or wants to like experience the two pieces in a different kind of modality, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. There will be
Pretty cool.
differences.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So it's not exactly the same thing, but it's similar, and you'll get different things out of it. But it'll be fun. I'm
Yeah.
excited about it. It's not the first time we've done this kind of model here, but I'm really excited about it. So without further ado, is there anything else you want to do to set this up, or shall we just like dive right in? What do you want to do?
Yeah. I think we're set up. I think we dive in.
Awesome. So you're going to join us afterwards for a
Yeah.
little chit chat Q&A. This is about 126 minutes long, so just under an hour and a half. And Adrian will come back and chat with us afterwards.
Sounds
Really
good.
excited about this, my friend. Um,
Okay.
okay, Rick, when you're ready, please hit play.
Witayemo means we welcome you. And today is Ukrainian Orthodox Easter, so Christos Voskres as well. So let us all evoke the spirit of our grandfathers together. In 1993, I journeyed to Ukraine to reconnect my father with where his grandfather had come from. And I learned that my grandfather, my great-grandfather, had had 3 sons. And one of those sons settled in Canada, in Saskatchewan. And he had 8 children with his wife on the farm. My father was born in 1914. I never got to meet my grandfather because I was too far down the line. I was 14 of 15 children born and raised in Northern Ontario. And in those days when you left Saskatchewan on the farm, it was like leaving Ukraine all over again, not to return. So this song, Zalbiao Banduru, was passed from my grandfather to my father to me at age 11. And it translates as, I pick up my bandura and play for you. So the sound of the song echoes to the heavens. Oh, that song will fly all across the world. And wherever the tip of its wing touches, their joy will flow into sorrowful hearts.
My mother was the 13th child of 13, and she was born in Saskatchewan in the early 30s. And her parents, my grandparents, came to Canada with the first wave of immigration in the early 1900s. So I got to spend many summers as a child in Saskatchewan in the Homestead area with family and friends. And when I got to be a young adult, I went there with my mother, and we did a trip especially to get them to all sing with me and for me so I could learn their songs. And this is one of the songs that I learned at that time and that I never heard anywhere else except from these people. And I've done lots of research in Ukrainian folk song. So this is definitely a song from my people and from my heart to share with you. It tells the story of a burning tree, and beside the tree, a young man is sitting. This tree is off in the field, and a spark falls upon him, and he catches on fire. The young women across the field see this, and they're, of course, horrified, especially one who was the closest to him. And she walks across the field to go, and she gathers up some ashes and holds them to her breast to relieve her sorrow. But as this happens, there remained a spark, and she herself caught on fire. So, to burning love. Oi tamu polju dub horit, oi tamu polju dub horit, apitim dubom chlop sedit, apitim dubom chlop sedit. Na neho wiskri padali, na neho wiskri padali, zanim divchata plakali, zanim divchata plakali. Na hirshe plakala hodna, na hirshe plakala hodna, chorno brovaye moloda, chorno brovaye moloda, nosila yo zapasti, nosila yo zapasti, szczoblek się było na duszy, szczoblek się było na duszy. Nosila yo fartusi, nosila yo fartusi, szczoblek się było na serci, szczoblek się było na serci. Jak zapaska si zajęła, jak zapaska si zajęła, zanim milenka chorila, zanim milenka chorila.
This is how I remember my Baba. Chin in hand, watching me eat. Why you so skinny? The few times I saw her as an adult were usually on tour stops in Montreal. I'd go over to her house for lunch, and she would try to unskinny me by stuffing me with homemade borscht and homemade pierogies and homemade holubtsi and vegetables and potatoes and sometimes a steak the size of my head. And she would just sit there and watch me eat, eating nothing herself, chin in hand, worrying. Worry is the love language of the Ukrainian matriarch. And we couldn't talk that much because I didn't speak Ukrainian, and her English was minimal, so she would mostly ask me broad life questions like, do you have girlfriend? Or do you have enough money? Or maybe you should get good job. Which I sort of resented because as a young and insecure and struggling artist, these things were already keeping me up at night. But once I got over myself, I could see that really she's just worrying, and worry equaled love. And my Baba had earned her right to worry many times over. She was 17 years old when German soldiers came to her village in the Carpathian Mountains of Western Ukraine. They came to her small house where she lived with her sisters, and they took her, sent her 1,000 kilometers away to somewhere in Austria to work as an indentured servant for a German family stationed there. And she never talked too much about the details of these experiences, so we don't know if, was she taken at gunpoint? What was that train voyage like? And how was she treated as an unpaid servant? But we know that the nightmares of her young life stayed with her for the rest of her days. When I close my eyes, there's a vision of gold. Clouds melt from the sky like meat off the bone, all from a dream of when I was young, all from a dream. Close my eyes, I can see them at home. My sisters like brides, glowing and growing, all from a dream of when I was young, all from a dream. I close my eyes, it's a vision of gold, sun through the pines, heat from the stove, all from a dream of when I was young, all from a dream. It's just a place that I know for now. When the drowners leave all their spirits at our doors, I will wait to hear from you. And the quiet lake isn't heaving on the shore, I will wait to hear from you, to hear from you. When the remnants and the seasons running you, when the planets drift and the seasons running you, when the light of morning casts a different shade, when the candles breaks and they're doling out the ground, I will wait to hear from you. When the moon escapes and the night is coming down, I will wait to hear from you, to hear from you. Dress and the walking shoes and you, mountains shift and the rivers running you. When I pin my hair and I let my sorrow down, make it through, I hear from you, out of the blue, some afternoon. When the cannons sing, there's an ending to the dream, I will wait to hear from you. And the holy houses start selling everything, I will wait to hear from you, to hear from you. With your apron dress and your walking shoes and you, with my body blessed and aching too, and you, may the light of morning cast its glow on you. When the armies leave all their spirits out our doors. Thanks. Hi. How are you doing? How is every single one of you doing? Such a dumb question to an audience, really, isn't it? Like, we'll start with you. Well, thank you very much for coming tonight. Just realizing this is very cool. We're doing a show about ancestry, and up here and in the choir, we've got like many different generations represented, which is really cool. And I think many generations out there too. Is that? That's kind of like a nice way of me coming out and going like, "What's up? Y'all are looking old." I'm just kidding. You're looking amazing. But yes, thank you for joining us tonight. So in the past couple years, I've been doing a lot of reading about trees and forests, and root systems especially fascinate me. Trees communicating with each other, warning each other of coming diseases, or providing nutritional support for weaker members of the ecosystem, stuff like that. So now when I step out into the forest, it's this whole other experience. I can almost feel those root networks lighting up beneath my feet, the trees speaking in their own language under the forest floor. It's a very trippy way to take a walk in the woods now. And I've kind of come to think of ancestry a little bit in this way too. It's like we're all growing out of the top of our own root networks. So every grandmother and grandfather and great-grandfather and great-great-grandfather. Just a quick aside to say, like, how dumb is it that white people haven't come up with better words for our ancestors than just like stacking greats on top of one another? Like, yeah, it's my great-great-great-great-great-grandfather. I digress. We can do better, but I digress. So here I am, a product of all these chance encounters, these struggles, these romances, emigrations, conversations, new jobs, new cities, fleeting glances. Here I am because this person met that person, and those genes met those genes, met those genes, and passed along this gesture and this hairline and this posture. So I'm made up of these people, these histories, and it feels like a place that I know, like a place that I've been, the generations in my eyes. And since all my grandparents are long gone, and since I barely knew any of them, I'm sort of left with this ephemeral exploration, like sort of like how I can't talk to the trees. I have to lean into a deeper sense. I have to feel that root network, feel that innate ancestral connection, which I think is part of why I wanted to take some of these stories of my grandparents and explore them through a songwriter's lens. Like if I couldn't talk directly to my Baba and Dito, I could at least try to imagine how the experiences that they had might have felt. And the first of these stories that became a song came from my aunt Genya, my teta Genya. Let me put on my guitar. And this is really the song that launched this whole project. So this takes us back to the 1940s. So my Baba is now in a displaced persons camp, which is essentially a refugee camp, somewhere in Austria. And it's here that she's going to meet her future husband, the father of her children, my grandfather, my Dido, Paul. The fun part of the story, as my teta Genya has it, is that my grandfather was apparently quite an agile Ukrainian dancer. And he loved to throw his body around, which I can relate to because as a kid, I also had like zero respect for my own mortality. And I would throw my body around and climb tall things and jump off tall things. I would jump off roofs into sandboxes, and I would make my friends jump off roofs into sandboxes, to the dismay of my mother, who I think, fearing broken bones and lawsuits, put me into Ukrainian dance classes to try to get rid of some of this youthful energy. And I was actually pretty excited about that, but what they don't tell you is you don't immediately get to start doing all those amazing like leaps and barrel rolls. Your first 2 years of Ukrainian dance class are basically arms around people in a circle going like Rasfatreya, Rasfatreya, Rasfatreya for hours on end. So I wasn't super stoked on that. And I did not stick with Ukrainian dance classes for very long. But my grandfather, on the other hand, must have stuck with it because, as the story goes, he would dance for the Allied troops who were stationed near the camp. And they were so impressed with his dancing that they would throw him money and throw him cigarettes, which he could trade for rations in the camp. So I don't know, this next song, I don't know if this is how it went down, but I picture my Baba watching my grandfather dance and falling in love with him. I saw you dancing for the soldiers that gathered all around. You were fearsome in your lightness. You didn't touch the ground. Did you learn it from your father? Would it make your mother proud? You were dancing for the soldiers. I was hidden in the crowd. I saw you dancing for the soldiers with your village in your bones. I felt 1,000 ages and 1,000 leagues from home. You collected up the coins and you collected up the smokes. You were dancing for the soldiers. I was standing in the cold. They were weather-worn in uniform, lions in the height of day, dreading further orders like devils sick of prey, smoking in their corners, happier to wait. You were dancing for the soldiers. I was watching through the gate. Silhouettes of ruin. You were dancing for the soldiers. I was squinting through the gloom. I saw you dancing for the soldiers, though I dreamed that it was me. I'd have flowers all in garlands and embroiders down my sleeve, and you'd dash my heart wide open like there were roses in your teeth, and you'd bring the planets closer and you would lift me from my feet, and in the morning glow you'd be beside me in my sleep. You were dancing for the soldiers, but I dreamed you'd dance for me. Thank you. Phone's off. I heard one. Was it in the choir? No. They would never. So my Baba and Dido, by the way. Rob, can you turn on my fun phone guy? Because I really love it.
Yeah, here we go. How y'all doing? How is every single one of you doing? There's some people here too young tonight to know what this is. That's crazy.
It's a telephone. So, my Baba and Dido are in this displaced persons camp for 3 whole years. 3 years. So that's enough time for them to meet each other, to fall in love, to marry, and even to welcome their first child, my Teta Nadia. But finally they get out of the camp, and they don't go home because who knows what home is anymore. Instead, they find their way to a ship that's headed to that great promised land of America. They cross the Atlantic. They chug into New York Harbor. They can see the Statue of Liberty in the distance, and I can only imagine how that must have felt. but their ship is turned away. I guess New York was full. They're directed to keep heading north. They're going to end up in Montreal. Now, at some point in his young life, my Tito had trained to be a tailor. So when he gets to talking to some Jewish men on the ship, they say, well, if you're trained to be a tailor, you should have no problem finding work in Montreal. They even write him a letter in French, and they tell him when they land, he should head down to the Jewish quarter, that if he shows them this letter, someone will hire him on the spot. I picture my grandfather carefully folding this letter into the inner pocket of his overcoat. It might have even been this very overcoat, since this belonged to my grandfather. I picture my grandfather absent-mindedly running his fingers over the back of his hand, over the bullet scar he sustained when he shot himself to avoid serving with the Nazis who had come to his village to conscript the able-bodied young men there. I picture my grandfather leaning on the guardrail of the ship he's crossed the Atlantic on, holding up his toddler daughter to see a new land, one arm around the woman he's embarking on this new chapter with, not yet knowing what's to come. When we burned our bridges in a giant head of steam and tore across the ocean to find a different dream, and that famous distant statue, she wasn't meant to be. And the best things always wait, and the best things always wait. With a letter for the tailor, they wrote you on a ship. They said, take this down to Garment Town. They're bound to work you in, and there's a scar between your knuckles. They told me we could win, and the best things always win, and the best things always wait, and the best things always wait. We got one little crawling angel, one little broken fingernail. She's young and I'm tired. It feels like it's a free-for-all, toes against a wrecking ball. We took our time, but we didn't come to fight. And the best things always wait, and the best things always wait, and the best things always wait. Oh, and the best
1985 in Baghdad, Iraq, to my mother, Manal Habba, and my father, Ghassan Zori. Both my grandparents, both my grandfathers, had passed well before I was born. My grandmother I met on her deathbed, and we barely spoke, and my other grandmother on my mother's side didn't care to know me. My father passed away in 2009, and I no longer have a relationship with my mother. So the knowledge of my ancestry sort of begins and ends with me. So how do I talk about something I don't know? How do I explore something I can't learn? I can't. If I were to take the traditional route of researching old documents like birth certificates, death certificates, and immigration records, I can't. They no longer exist because they were destroyed by the many wars. So how do I explore my ancestry? When Adrian first reached out to me about this project, I said that I, lacking in that knowledge, am like a blank canvas, that I get to write my history from scratch. However, I now believe that that's an incomplete truth. I've come to learn that our ancestors passed down so much more than our skills and our smiles. I've come to learn that their wisdom lives within us, even if it skips a few generations. Their strength, their resilience, it shows up in our love for our community, our elders, our animals, our planet, and most importantly, ourselves. My mother's a musician. I'm like her. I feel at home with a camera and a tennis racket in my hand like my father. I'm also queer and trans and non-binary. I'm an activist. I speak truth to power. I stand in integrity, and I value character over image. None of which was modeled by my parents, because in their time, almost all of these meant certain death. I don't blame them. They're from a different generation with different needs to survive, so it's also very important for me to acknowledge the immense privilege that I have to be who I am today. But am I so arrogant to believe that I'm the first? Am I so arrogant to believe that I'm the only? In my 20s, absolutely. But my 20s are long gone. Well, it's not that funny. In my 30s, they're coming to a close, and with every passing year, I realized that all these gifts that I'd claimed to have given myself were actually passed down from those unseen, those unknown. That I know them because I am them, that I know them because they were once me. So I have a theory on past lives. A lot of people regard past lives in the sense that they were once these greats like Cleopatra and Joan of Arc, and maybe even Socrates or whatever, but I have a different take. We, and everything around us, is energy. To quote Carl Sagan, we are stardust. And I believe that when we pass, to the stars we return. Free from the restraints of our anatomy, we are dispersed back into the universe. Us and every spirit that has ever had a chance at life, no matter how brief or how long that may have been. And I believe that the moment right before a new life takes their first conscious breath, a collection of stardust is alchemized into a spirit, and they're born. An amalgam of all who'd come before them. Now, I'm not going to push astrology on you. I'm not going to push it on you just because it was discovered by Arabs in ancient Mesopotamia. I'm not going to push astrology on you because we feel kind of funny around the full moon and eclipses, or because communication just so happens to break down around the time that Mercury starts moving in a different direction. I'm definitely not going to push it on you because some of the greatest historical figures sought and continue to seek astrological counsel before making any big decisions, or because of the indisputable historical shifts that coincide with the ever-changing course of our planetary system. I'm not going to push astrology on you. However, we are stardust. We are all those who've come before, and we are those who'll come after. The legacy that they leave for us is us. We are what they gift. We have an enormous responsibility to them, to ourselves, and to those to come. And what's the point of looking back if not to better equip ourselves for how we move forward? My ancestry lives within me as who I am today and who I choose to be tomorrow. I'm not the first, and I won't be the last.
Give us ground and we lay foundation. We begin to face our stubborn savior after all. Montreal, to the bone, on and on. We knew the cold, we don't know this river. If the water could send us home, we'd sail it after all. Montreal, Montreal, cutting our teeth to measure, breaking in together. Day by day, Montreal, meet your gaze, what we pass like strangers in the fall. Are you learning our names, or are you taking favors, counting the days till we're gone? Tell us straight, Montreal. Yeah. Tell us straight, Montreal. Cutting our teeth to measure, stubborn as our savior. How we start to shake our memories down. Sound like music whenever it rains. I got a golden vision, keep me awake. A page of questions whenever I pray. I got a golden vision, keep me awake. We're looking for something, something that pays. I got a golden vision, keep me awake. And every night and every day, 'cause every
I'm Marlene. Oh. My great-grandfather, George Chin, immigrated from China to the United States when he was a very young man. And as the story goes, he boarded a ship packed with other Chinese laborers, and they began a journey that would take 3 months. I think we can all safely assume that the conditions were not great. And he did all this with only the clothes on his back and a pocket full of gold coins. The last part isn't real, okay? I mean, obviously gold coins would be worth a lot, even today. But you know, childhood memory, it's kind of weird, right? Like, I think at the time I'd probably just been reading a lot of Rumpelstiltskin, and you know, I just thought that, like, all old-timey currency was gold. But it was probably, the coins were tin, so he just came to America with a few pieces of little tin that had a terrible exchange rate. Now, he arrived in San Francisco and he started a new life. He looked for work. He began on a potato farm and eventually found a steady job fixing watches. He married a Chinese-American woman and they started a family. And I don't know a lot about my great-grandmother, but I have been told that she was a beautiful woman with impeccable style. Ancestry. Wow. Unbelievable. Anyway, I don't know a lot of other stories about my great-grandfather, not a lot of detail, but just before my mother was born, he went out one day and he never came home. It was very quickly ruled a suicide, but there was no real investigation. They never recovered the body or anything like that because someone like him wasn't a priority. He was 52 years old, and it wasn't something that was talked about, but I can only imagine that the unspoken weight of that was something that was carried through multiple generations of my family. My great-grandmother, she actually lived a long life after he disappeared. I was told once that she spent her final years watching soap operas with the volume cranked to the max. And I've decided that that's how I would like to go as well. I just really hope the Real Housewives franchise lasts that long. Some of you know, some of you know. My mom was one of 4 children, and when she was very young, around 6 or 7, she fell deeply in love with classical music, and she desperately needed to play the violin. It's not clear why, because her parents weren't musical, they weren't encouraging this, it just seemed like something that was inside her. Unfortunately, her family couldn't afford lessons, so it seemed like it was going to be a no-go. When she was 12, she found out she was going to have to get braces because, well, I'll tell you this in her words, I looked like a rabbit. But then she got to thinking and scheming, and she thought, well, what if I what if I don't get the braces, and then we use the money for the braces for violin lessons instead? So she went to her parents, and she begged, and she pleaded, and she negotiated, and she wore them down, and finally they agreed to get her violin lessons. And she started taking her private lessons for $3.50 an hour. Can you believe that? I mean, like, back then, you could get violin lessons or help pay off your kids' braces for the same price of, like, 1 egg at Loblaws today. That's where you're supposed, oh! Anyway. My mother became a professional violinist. Her teeth are still crooked, and she made the right choice. And she doesn't look anything like a rabbit. I can see now why a child who fought so hard to pursue her passion would want to pass that on to her own, as in me. I didn't always get that, but I see it now. About 10 years ago, she was back in San Francisco visiting her siblings, and she was staying with her little sister, who still lives in their family childhood home. And her sister was like, Becky, get in here, you gotta see this. She had just found in their attic an old photo album that had never been seen by anyone in her generation before. And in that photo album were pictures of my great-grandfather, George Chin, playing the violin. So, maybe this is just a coincidence, or maybe there really is something in the blood.
get any rim shots? Okay. That was a bit of a passive-aggressive rim shot, I feel like.
Make a joke.
So, in Montreal, my Baba's 3 daughters are growing up fast. Catholic school with French nuns, Ukrainian summer camps in the Laurentians, and winter skating on icy ponds till they have to come in and thaw their frozen toes. The eldest, my teta Nadia, is now almost the age that my Baba was when the Germans came to her village a generation ago. And her mind continues to slip back into these memories, into these places, even as she tries to stay present in the finite years of youth that her girls are hurtling through. When I knew that we were moving fast, and tiny bones and tiny hands, and they pull me through the looking glass. And hey, hey, we pin it in our hair. Oh, and hey, we knew it like a bear.
was Betty, Betty Supernault. I spent most of my life being mad at her, and so did her children. She wasn't there for me, for them, for herself. And we didn't know. We didn't understand. I remember the one time she gave me a present, bubblegum flavored Miss Piggy toothpaste and a couple of lightly used bingo dabbers. She didn't speak much. I don't know that I ever heard her laugh. And for some reason, she had a slight drawl, almost a southern accent. She called my mom Miss Patrish. She had 11 children that we know of. None of them spent more than a couple of years with her. Most of them grew up in the foster system, moving from one family to the next. Some of them good families, some of them not so good. The girls spent a few years in a convent being raised by nuns. It wasn't until after her death that I found out she'd gone to residential school. It wasn't until after her death that I found out she was deemed unfit to care for her 11 children. It wasn't until after her death that I found out how similar we were. Betty was a beautiful singer. Betty loved baseball. She used to ride the neighbors' horses into the next town to play baseball with the boys. Betty was stylish. She always liked to be put together. Betty didn't want anyone to know she was an Indian. It wasn't until after her death that I finally understood. I finally forgave Betty for not being the grandmother I wanted and needed. I don't know that I can forgive the people who stole a child from her home, stole her culture and her identity, stole her children from her, and stole my grandmother from me. A few years ago, Adrian and I worked on a project, and he wrote this song without knowing my grandmother's story. And I asked him if I could sing it tonight because it's Betty.
Come out at night, it's always at night. As soon as the light's gone, soon as I'm all alone, they come out at night. There was nowhere to hide, I can hear them in my heart bones. I can hear them in the fridge hum, hear them in the light buzz, they're in every song. Take me back to the water where I held the hands of my daughters the last time. Take me back to the water so I drink them back in. They said, in the government's eyes, we see you can't provide. And with the law on our side, but hey, it's always on your side. Ain't that why you write it? And they always come at night. And I was trying to provide, I just needed some more time. We were trying to get by. Take me back to the water where I held the hands of my daughters the last time. Take me back to the water
things that are taken leave a hole in you. They come out at night. It's always at night. Take me back to the water where I saw the face of my daughters the last time. Take me back to the water. I thought I could fight. I thought I could win. Take me back to the water where I just might fall down. Drink 'em back in.
Okay, now that all our makeup is ruined. Was that one more earned? Oh, man. Yeah, everyone up here in the band was worried about crying during that song, and
Who? What?
I think we all did, but okay. That's Chelsea Rose. This one's just a little love song about my grandparents growing old together. Lay around, getting older. Lay around, getting weak. You can rattle up my shoulder. Tell it when you wanna weep. And if I grow a little slower, I know you will wait for me. Oh, and I won't sleep till I'm here beside the sound of your breathing. I won't rest till you lay inside the curve of my chest. You were with me in that moment. I was with you in the land. We left the camp, left the land, and held our courage up to chance. Left our reflection in the war. Now I recognize my living mirror. I saw it in our daughter's hands. Oh, and I won't sleep till I'm here beside the sound of your breathing. I won't rest till you lay inside the curve of my chest.
wanna dream in the ride. I only want a memory to fly. Hey, I won't rest until you lay inside the curve of my chest.
Okay, tiny history lesson. One of the, the all-time poet laureate of Ukraine is a 19th century folk hero named Taras Shevchenko. He wasn't just a poet, he was an artist and a writer, a dissident, revolutionary, and he lived most of his life in forced exile, far from his homeland of Ukraine. One of his poems is called Dume Moi, which roughly translates to thoughts of mine. Often in his writing, Shevchenko would think of his thoughts as his children, or sometimes as doves that he would dispatch off into the world on his behalf to faraway places, often to the steppes of southern Ukraine or the shores of the Dnipro River. These were places that he longed to return to. And so in this next song we're going to do, our lovely choir is going to sing a stanza from this poem in Ukrainian. I should introduce this. This is sort of like two choirs in one. We've got members of the Windsor Secondary Choir Program, and we've got members of the ad hoc Righteous Ramshackle Chorus, all under the amazing direction of Mr. Adam Kozak. So give these guys a hand. Yeah, as I said in the next song, they have the hard part. They have to sing in Ukrainian. I have the easy part. I'm going to give you the English translation of that stanza. My pensive, heavy-laden thoughts, my cherished blooms, I vow. I've tended you. I've reared you up. Where shall I send you now? Go to Ukraine, my children dear, to our own dear Ukraine. Wander like waifs by hedge and road, for here I must remain. So these lines, they often make me think of my Baba and Dido. How often did the doves of their mind fly off to their homeland? And what did their memories look like? Did they have clear images of their old kitchen floors or of their mothers' faces? Were adolescent memories warped and distorted by the trauma of war? I suppose ultimately they had each other. Everything they had gone through together, everything they had created together. These were the places in each other's minds that only they knew. My Dido passed away in 2003, and he left my Baba with his memories, with his doves, with their children.
Stars in your eyes, for all the places we'll never see, for all that we left behind, for every thought where you hold me, for every night you were here with me, for the life that you gave to our family, generations in our eyes. You're just a place that I know. You're just a place that I know. You're just a place that I know. For now, for now.
Nice pronunciation. I said nice pronunciation. Ba-dum-psh.
Are you saying it wasn't?
Oh yeah, no, that wasn't a joke. That was actually a really great pronunciation. Adam really worked them on the pronunciation, and it sounded great. So in June of 2014, I go to visit my Baba in Royal Victoria Hospital in Montreal. Now, I don't know it yet, but this will be the last time that I see her. When I walk into the room, her eyes light up just like they always did, but she doesn't remember my name. Most of her hearing is gone at this point, so to talk to her, I have to speak into this faulty, foamy microphone that the hospital has. It's attached by a cable to a faulty, foamy headset that she wears. And I tell her, my brother is dating a Ukrainian girl. And in a moment of clarity, she replies, does she have sister? Sorry. And I watch her flip through an old photo album, and this is me. Watching her, worrying. Worry equals love. So she flips through this old photo album, and her eyes light up with recognition of most of the faces, but most of the names she's forgotten. And my Genya has told me recently that she's been waking up from nightmares, shouting about being torn away and taken away. Her memory is becoming a mosaic, shattered and re-glued, a collection of the images, the faces and the voices and the places that she knew. And I play her a song on the old balalaika that she gave me years ago. That little guy that Martin was playing earlier, little triangle face guy. And when I leave, I kiss her on both cheeks, and they're soft and perfumed from the cream that I saw her applying carefully when I first arrived. So I wander down to old Montreal, and I wander through the refurbished cobblestones and expensive souvenir stores, and I sit by the St. Lawrence in the sunshine. And I'm all angry at how touristy this beautiful old part of the city has become, and I write some broody-ass poem about history becoming husk. But really, I think I'm just upset that my Baba is slipping away. She's my last living grandparent, my last direct link to the ancestors that came before her, to Ukraine, to that part of the worldly forest where the bulk of my root system must still be lighting up in an underground network of timeless connection, the place that I know. With its own mosaic of images and faces and histories and memories and mannerisms that are all a part of me, a part of my brothers, and a part of my new nephew, the generations forever in our eyes. In our eyes. I sit by the river for a long time. I watch the water flow by. And then I leave it to flow, race itself back to the Atlantic. And I walk slowly back into the city.
Both hands to both cheeks, bedside, cold feet, hair strands, gold wheat, generations in her eyes. Scrapbook, names fade, hemline, date changed, half past, please stay, generations in our eyes. childhood, shore sun, beechwood, white pine, barefoot, through line, generations in our eyes. Sunrise, name day, nightstand, hallway, springtime, always, half past, please stay, both hands to both cheeks, bedside, cold feet, hair strands, both weak. I don't remember anything. It's childhood, it's just a sign. Beechwood, white pine, and barefoot, my mother's line. I don't remember anything. Sunrise, name day, nightstand, hallway, springtime, always, generations in our eyes.
All right, my friends, we are going to welcome Adrian back into the space. He's with us. With us. So that was really beautiful.
Thank you.
Did you actually stay and watch it? Were you hovering in the background?
I was hovering, but I don't really love watching myself, so I didn't watch too much of it. And I have been watching some of my archivals just to like learn from it and improve the show and stuff. But you got to be in the right mindset for that.
Yeah, you got to be in a cabin in the woods in Banff,
Yeah, exactly.
focusing on something intensely for 2 or 3 weeks to be
Yeah.
in that mindset. Well, I thought it was so beautiful, and what a rich mix of storytelling from one, I mean, performer, but one person, one human to one human to one human. Some of these names folks in this audience may recognize. I know I recognize many of these people. I've met many of these people. And certainly because I don't know their faces, but when they introduce their names, I go, oh, I know that name. Oh, I know that name.
Right.
I just met that person here. I just, and so it gives me a little bit of context about who these folks are on a deeper level, because it's not like I've sat down and had tea with these people. It's just like I met so and so at a conference and yada yada yada. And so some of these stories.
You might have seen or heard Chelsea in Frozen.
Yeah, that's right. I did on Sunday. Yes, and some people may see/hear Chelsea in Frozen on Friday, which is fantastic. I encourage you to go experience Chelsea's performance on Friday if you have a chance. Yeah, so like some really impactful stories there. A lot of beautiful music, beautiful storytelling. When you asked your bandmates, your friends, to write something or to be involved in creating something, what was their initial response like?
Everybody's response was a little bit different. I mean, everybody that I asked was down to do it. But like, well, Sally, for example, and they talk about this a bit in their story. Actually, I think they literally say this. Their first response was like, well, my ancestral connection is severed, so my story is going to be about growing up without any sense of ancestry and that sort of thing. And so that's sort of like their first pitch to me was like, that's probably what it will be about. Is that okay? And I was like, absolutely. If that's your truth, that's super compelling. I want to hear that. But then as they dug into it, they realized like, well, wait a second. Um, maybe there's a deeper connection to ancestry here in what I feel and my, everything that they said in their story. And that almost made it, it took it to a place that they weren't expecting it to go, which is always good for storytelling, right? So, so that turned out great. And yeah, and Marlene, we knew Marlene's very funny, so we knew Marlene's story was going to be funny. But the twist it takes at the end, it's like one of the most beautiful moments in the show, and you can hear that in the audience reaction, right? Everyone goes, "Oh!" when she reveals that her grandfather played violin and nobody knew. So that was pretty special. Yeah, so everyone was on board. People were nervous though. Like, Chelsea's an amazing actor. She's in lots of big shows, but she's never been asked to, reveal her sort of personal story so vulnerably. So, that's nerve-wracking. Like, it doesn't matter how many hours you've spent on stage. If you're asked to do something like that, and it's not something you normally do, that's scary. So yeah, everyone really made themselves vulnerable and took a risk. And again, that is such a great thing for performance, but it's not easy to do.
No, it's certainly not easy to do. Creating work that's so personal is, well, it's very that. You either open up and be vulnerable, which is what audiences really like, or you don't do it, or it comes off feeling not authentic or not something you just don't connect with.
Or it's held back or something.
Audiences recognize that. Sally is actually who I just met in October in
great.
in Toronto, and what a lovely, giving person. And they were speaking about disability justice, and so I was like glued to every single word. Some of our audience may have experienced Sally because they host the literary cabaret at the Writers Fest, or have for many years. And we've been to the Writers Fest in person, and we've shared it here on this platform. So Sally often MCs that with the band on stage. So they've been in and out of our spaces, whether you know it or not, whether people know it or not. They've interacted with these people in one way or another. So it's it's like being in somebody's living room and having tea with them. So I love that. So you tell a couple of different stories, but you're right. There's kind of like a connection. There's a theme through them. My grandmother is also from the Ukraine.
Wow.
It's a funny thing because my grandmother is, she always says to me, "Oh, I'm from Odessa." That's Russia, right? I was like, well, it's Ukraine. I was like, so she doesn't really understand where she's from, but she speaks German. And she landed in Saskatchewan. So I guess at the time when she landed in Saskatchewan, there was a melting pot of people from Ukraine, Germany, Russia. And when they all got together, as from what her memory was, in the 1920s, there was, and earlier, there was like this mixture of languages that came together. Because when I was in high school, I decided that I wanted to learn how to speak German because I wanted to be able to communicate with her.
Oh, cool.
And she didn't understand the German that I was speaking because she wasn't actually speaking German. She was speaking a mixture of all of these different languages that people who had settled in Saskatchewan at this time were all communicating with their various different languages, which were often like not she called hers farm German, which basically was not the language that you would be educated with in any place, any land farm place that you were living in any country. So it was all the low form of a language, I guess, the uneducated form of a language in any of these countries. And they just all mixed it together.
So wait, did you spend like a year on German lessons and
5.
then like And then you showed up to big surprise, like start speaking German. She's like, "What are you saying?"
Yep, pretty much.
Oh
Pretty
no.
much. Because I
Oh
lived in Vancouver
no.
and she lived in Calgary. So it was like, I showed up thinking, I can ask sophisticated questions in German. She's like, I have no idea what you're saying. And I was like,
Oh no.
oh, great. Well, I should have stuck with French. That would have been better for me.
Oh.
But so this is the thing about, when people come over from places and, there's all these stories and, all of my grandparents have passed. Now, all I have is stories of my parents telling, of their parents telling, but a lot of folks didn't,
Yeah.
they didn't tell stories of like their parents and beyond. It was just from their childhood. So that like further back history, it's lost. It's lost in
Yeah.
the shuffle. So when you have these conversations with your parents about grandparents, like how far back do those stories go? Did your grandparents tell their lineage to your parents? Like how far back do your parents go
Uh,
or remember?
I mean, no, I mean not too far. So Teta Genya, who again
Hmm.
is kind of the story keeper and knows a lot of stuff. She she knows a bit about her grandparents and some of the aunts and uncles from the village where both of her, well, the two separate Ukrainian villages where both of her parents grew up, just from them talking about it. I don't think she ever went to visit those villages. But so that's so the furthest back she would know stuff like more directly from is probably her grandparents and maybe her great grandparents. So, not too far back. Beyond that, it gets sort of like you got comes to like lore, you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
just and then the branches get so, like how many great grandparents do we all have? Eight, I guess. Like it just starts to really spread out
Yeah.
and there's so many connections there. It's yeah.
It's pretty fascinating and I wish that I had been more interested when I was younger.
Hmm.
But it's not really until you're maybe I guess until you're like you hit 30 and you go, "Huh, maybe I should know a little more than I do." And then by that time, you're the story keepers may not be there in the same way.
Totally. And it's it's such a common thing in Canada, that we're this massive country, and a lot of us are end up being really far away from our grandparents, right? Like I grew up in Vancouver and they were in Montreal,
Yeah.
which it's not exactly close. Um, and so that's physical distance. And then there's also, in a lot of aspects of Western culture, the way that we interact with the elderly, um,
Mhm.
is often to sort of treat them as an inconvenience, right?
Yeah.
Put
Yeah.
them in homes and things like that. And that's become very normal in a lot of parts of Western culture. And so there's that distance as well. Whereas in, so other cultures, those elderly folks are still very much a part of the family unit, and so stories are being told directly. But yeah, a lot of that is lost. So I think I think everybody in the show is sort of exploring some version of that.
Yeah. I watched both of my parents. My parents are divorced, but my father's his parents were in Calgary, and my mother, her parents were in Calgary, and we all lived in Vancouver. And I watched both of them as their parents aged, and they all lived into their 90s. So except for my one grandfather, but three of the four of them lived into their 90s, so had long lives. But I watched both my mother and my father with their respective parents um, not be there for their final moments or not be
Mm,
there for the process of the final stages of their lives and then
yeah,
say to me back or um, appear to be very regretful that they didn't go sooner to spend more time or because there was always something. It was like I'll work this and I'll go later and
yeah,
and both of them were like, I should have spent more time, I should have gone sooner, this thing wouldn't have happened that way if I had been there. So it was a real lesson for me as my parents who are both in their 60s, but as they start to age, to think to myself, okay, I am not going to do that because I have
Yeah.
seen what regret looks like. And selfishly, I don't want to carry it. But I don't like, I just, like, as you're pointing out, Western culture, right? Like, what can I do to make that easier for everybody? It's a complicated question, I realize, but
Yeah.
you know,
But at least you're aware of it, and you will
I think it was a
make those
gift.
efforts.
Yeah, I think it was a gift that I was given. Although my mother also says to me, I will not fight going to live somewhere. Right? She's like, I want to make this easy on my kids. I will empty my house. I will move into someplace small. I will not
Right.
fight. Like I want, but my mother's a different mindset.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
want folks in our audience to know that they have opportunities to ask Adrian questions about the work, share anything you'd like to share. Adrian's in the space to. I mean,
Yeah.
it doesn't take long to get a hand. People like to share.
Hit me.
All right, that's a hand from Ben. Come on in, Ben. You have a question?
Hey, Ben.
Adrian. Adrian. I have a question for you, man.
Okay, let's hear it.
Where are you from? Is the first question. Second question, and I know that yours truly over there is laughing her pale feather off. How did you get into music?
Okay. Well, I'm just from Vancouver, so not terribly exciting. But obviously my mother's side is Ukrainian, and my dad's side is kind of. I mean, that's maybe another whole show. He's got his own story of he's like part Welsh, part English, part Kiwi, but then his mom's side goes back into like Yugoslavia. There's a lot of Slavic in me, which is maybe why there's so much melancholy in the music. Slavic melancholy. But I got into music. Well, my dad's quite musical, so he was always listening to lots of stuff when we were kids, and he got us singing in choirs. Oh, actually, my dad is in the choir in that show, funnily enough. Yeah, I, I totally forgot about that. Yeah, so okay, well, I'll come back to that. So just more about how I got into music. So yeah, he had us singing in choirs. I have two brothers. Me and my brothers were in choirs from a young age. We were in piano lessons, and then eventually, I guess I got into guitar in high school, and it was guitar made a big difference. Like I loved singing in choirs then. That was very foundational for just being so interested in harmony. And I do all the sort of harmony parts writing for my stuff, but also in the Fugitives, and that's like one of my favorite things to do. And I didn't stick with piano too long, but guitar was a game changer because that's when I started to write songs. I was probably about 16 years old and I started to write songs, and it was just sort of like for fun for many, many years. But then somewhere in my mid 20s, I started to take it quite seriously, and yeah. Um, but the choir thing, so I formed for a concert I did years ago. I just sort of put it out on Facebook, like, does anyone want to like be part of like an ad hoc choir for this show? And a bunch of friends and friends of friends got in touch and said, yeah. And my brother and my dad sang in that choir for that show. And so then when it came around to putting the choir together for this show, my brother couldn't do it because he was a new dad, but my dad signed on, which was great. And so the choir, because there's also a whole high school component. The conductor of the choir is the son of the music teacher I had at Saturday morning Ukrainian school as a kid. We got like, I didn't really know him then, but I knew, his mom was my teacher, and so we got reconnected by Beverly Dubrinsky, who's one of the ladies at the beginning of the show. And he's a high school choir director. So in that choir, in the show, there's half of it is high school kids, and the other half is, well, people as old as my dad, and then a lot of people my age, and somewhere in between. And so you have this massive age range of a multi-generational choir ranging from like 15 to 80. Which I think it wasn't, I didn't like plan that. It just sort of happened, and it kind of is, really suits the show, obviously. So it's kind of cool.
That's
Anyway,
really
thanks for your question.
And I think that's Rita. It's Rita. Come on in, Rita. had trouble reading your name
Okay.
there.
Yeah, okay. I had a bit of a hard time finding the thing anyway. So anyway, thanks very much. This was great. I really enjoyed this.
Thanks.
And, I really liked, how you went back into your family and, the generations of, now I come from Turkey, but I'm from an old Jewish family that originally came from Spain. So
Oh,
they
wow.
got kicked out of Spain in 1492.
The
So it makes you think
Sephardic
about,
Jews.
yeah, exactly. So it's all this displacements and, moving, people, being pulled all over the place, pushed all over the place, and the kind of effect that it has. And I think you're right in a way, it would be nice to get more of the stories of the grandparents and great grandparents and stuff like that. But I only have a few stories from my grandparents when they were like in the First World War and some of the things that they did and stuff like that. They actually were in the war, and some of the stories that they told, but mostly, you don't get as much. And I think maybe some of the families, sometimes they try to hide it. They try not to show all the pain and all of that. Which is, well, I suppose maybe it makes life easier for them and for their descendants, but at the same time, we want to know. So,
Yeah. Yeah, it's so true. Because, so many, whether they're, people that fought in wars or survived wars or just survived trauma of becoming a refugee, it's not, it's not fun to talk about, right?
No,
Like there were a
exactly.
lot of things my grandmother didn't talk about, and so I had to infer some stuff to write these songs from her point of view, because
Yeah,
there were things she
right.
didn't talk about. And it is a shame that we lose some of those important stories just because they're hard to talk about. It it's, if only we could all have grandparents that just like kept detailed journals.
Yeah, that would have been nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
But anyway, this was lovely. I really loved the music. I really enjoyed it.
Oh, thank you very much.
So I'm hoping to come and see the live music, the live one as well.
Great. Yeah, I hope you can make it.
Yeah. So are you going to do it like a whole bunch of days like they do at the Arts Club usually? Or is it going to be, it's not going to be just one show or something?
No, it'll be a 2-week run,
okay.
with 7 shows a week. So
wow.
I think we run like Wednesday to Sunday with a couple matinees,
Right.
but mostly evening shows. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like great.
Yeah, and if
Okay.
anyone's coming to the show and is interested in getting the music, I have the album on CD, and I just got it printed on vinyl for anyone that listens to vinyl records. It's only the second time I've printed an album on vinyl, so I'm very excited because it's like it just sounds so much better. It's
does
great.
it? Wow.
Yeah, vinyl's it's just the best.
I'm sure there's a few audiophiles amongst us that might be gravitating to the vinyl.
Yeah, it just sounds so good. I bought a few like R&B records from my record player last week and just sat there and listened to them. I was like, oh my God, this sounds good. It's so cool.
Yeah. Are you likely to sell the CDs at the Arts Club, or would we have to just order it? Oh, it'll be there.
I'll have like I'll have a merch table going in the lobby. And I think because it's not a very long show, I think the Arts Club's there's a really nice like lobby and bar and stuff. Like they're gonna keep it open after the show so people can, because this is a show where it seems like people really want to talk, whether it's to me or the band or just to each other, because it fires people's imaginations about their own ancestry, and so they tend to want to talk about it. So I kind of said to the Arts Club, like, can we keep the bar open after the show so that people can hang out a bit and talk and stuff? So I think that will be the plan, and I'll be there with the CDs and the records and just talking and stuff. So yeah.
Great.
So if any of you make it to the show, please come say hello.
Great, that'll be great. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm hoping to come in. All right.
Great.
That's awesome. I'm really excited about that.
Yeah.
I just put in my request with box office to set seats on hold for our VocalEye friends so that they don't all sell out before we get an opportunity buy them.
Great.
And usually that's a privilege that they grant us.
Okay, awesome.
Before they slowly let them go to the public, so that you don't have seats that are like, why are all these seats empty?
Yeah,
we
yeah.
don't hold them forever, I promise. But
If they give you any trouble, just let me know.
oh yeah, I'm all over it. I will
I'll
talk
give them.
again.
I'll give them
Yeah.
the tough talk.
I'll give them a tough time. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this has been really incredible. Are there any new performers coming in for the show, the run of the show at the Arts Club? Or are we because you said you're gonna do some different things, but is that just
Yeah.
more of a dramaturgical how do I define that for you said structure? More structured for our
Dramaturgy is part of it. We're actually losing a person from what you saw. So at the beginning of the show, you heard two women. There was Beverly Doprinsky, who sang an a cappella song, and there was Ruta Yanni, who played the bandura and sang. Unfortunately, Ruta lives on Bowen Island, and she's not. It was just too much of a commitment for her to be able to do such a long run because she doesn't live in Vancouver. So, so unfortunately, Ruta is not part of the show, but Beverly is, and Beverly will begin the show with her story and her song. The band is the same, so that's all the same, and the the choir. It's a larger. We needed a larger choir pool because we can't have the same. We can't ask the same 20 people to be at every show because the choir is an amateur choir, so everyone else is getting paid, but they're not getting paid. They're doing it as like a community thing, but they also it's not fair to ask them to do all the shows if they're working pro bono. So there'll be some different choir members. But in terms of what's going to change in the show, yeah, it's the structure will pretty much stay the same. We'll punch up some of the stories, just make them as good as they can be. And I think transitions will be a big thing. Like how do you get from one song to another in like a smooth theatrical way? We have a lighting designer this time around, so there will be like lighting cues and the set will be a little more. It was pretty thrown together. It'll be a little more planned out. And well, this is something that for folks who are blind, you weren't able to see this, but there's a mannequin on stage. And that's to sort of, because my grandfather was a tailor, we had this mannequin on stage with his coat on it, which if you remember at the beginning of one song, I like put the coat on and I said like, this coat, which was my grandfather's, this might even be the coat he was wearing when he was coming to New York, that part. So that we'll try to like make that have more of a journey so that the mannequin is a little more like highlighted and people understand that a bit more. But no, it won't change all that much really.
Yeah. Well, I might be emailing you to talk a bit about those moments so we can make a little audio file for our
our
blind and low vision guests that they can listen
Absolutely.
to before the show if they want to have a little bit of the visual gaps filled in.
Yeah.
Because it's always a nice inclusive touch.
Definitely.
Nancy has a hand. Let's go to Nancy.
Can you hear me?
Oh, we got you.
Yeah.
I can't get into this anymore.
We got you.
It's a hard one. Well, I really enjoyed this because talking about history in our family, our grandparent, my great grandfather was my great grandfather was 112. His father was 106, and my grandfather died of 105. Now, this is all on my mom's side of the story. When my dad. My mom and dad, my mom was from India. My dad was born in Canada. And my grandfather was great-grandfather was the first to come to India and left his boat. There was a big boat that was in Vancouver that couldn't get out. All the people had to stay there, and my grandfather got them into the mills. He separated everyone. That's my great-grandfather. And before he died in March, I was born March 21st, and he named me Nimi. And ever since that, I was told that that's the last time he said my name, and then he passed away. But he drove himself to the hospital because he had a heart attack in front of the hospital. But like I said, his story, we would hear the story every Sunday about our great grandfather and what they did for us and how they sacrifice in India to be an MLM member of the parliament, and what he did to save the women to vote, and women have the right to do things too. And it was really
Wow.
nice to hear your story. Thank you.
Wow,
Oh,
Nancy.
thank you. Wow. What part of India?
My mom was originally, well, my grandfather was working in Punjab, not Punjab, what's the other one? Pakistan, and my mom
Yeah.
was born, so she had to come out a month later. But they're from probably, and where New Delhi is, they're in the Punjabi village in
Okay.
Ayapur. So it's like
Okay.
probably an hour and a half from the Golden Temple. But like,
Okay. Yeah.
but it's India. And then, like I said, I wish they would, I should say this, but I wish they had musical, but they had the piano that you go back and forth, the one you just pump in they had a little piano. That's the
Oh,
kind of
yeah.
instrument they had. So I don't, Punjabi songs, but they're not really, I don't know. I don't speak I speak the language, but I don't know how to sing. So,
Right.
but I wish my grandparents did have some instruments so they can, teach us all this stuff. But like I said, that accordion thing that they had to play, and they sit on the floor and you play with it, but
Yeah, the harmonium, I think it's called.
yeah, and it's
Yeah.
neat. But then we had to learn how to sing the East Indian national anthem and go to
Oh, yeah.
Punjabi school to learn all this stuff. And those are the things that they only taught us, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But listening to the history, it's unreal.
Oh, I can't imagine. Yeah. Did you ever, he's Pakistani, but did you ever listen to Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan?
With that?
He died like 25 years ago, but there was a Pakistani Sufi singer called Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan, who became kind of world famous. But he would just sing, and he had a harmonium player and I think maybe a tabla player. But he's got one of the most amazing voices you'll ever hear. It's absolutely
You got to
incredible.
let me know the name. I'll look it up. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll write it.
Put it in
Yeah,
the
I'd love
chat.
to hear it.
Write it in the chat. Well, one more question for you, Nancy. What is your family's secret for longevity? I mean,
But you know what? This is funny because my grandfather came to visit me, and I asked my grandfather, like he said, this is weird. I bought $200 worth of groceries for him, and my grandfather's name is Baba. No,
Yeah.
actually, yeah, no, sorry, Nana. Okay, Nana. So he goes like I was excited that I made curry chicken for him, and he goes, Nancy. I go, yes, Nana. I go, what day is it? I said, it's Tuesday. Oh, it's Toonie Day. I said, oh my God, what's Toonie Day? So I quickly told my mom he liked Kentucky Fried Chicken, right? So
Yeah.
then at nighttime, I was making tea, and he goes, what? I mean, dear, what do you? I only drink hot milk. I said, what? I was boiling tea for making him. He drinks hot milk every night before he goes to bed. Every night. So that was the secret, hot milk. So I
No
thought
way.
maybe we should start drinking hot milk, and that lasted him longer.
I mean, sounds like you should. That's wild.
And my dad
Fountain
said
of youth.
his father said he drinks a little glass, one shot of wine before he goes to bed. So my dad's side of the family drink a little shot of glass of wine before he goes to bed.
I like the sound of that.
Yeah, one shot.
Yeah. That's
Very
great.
cool. Very cool.
No, but I really enjoyed it. Thank you. You brought memory, and like I said, is your dad? Did you say your grandfather's blind? I didn't hear the last bit.
No. He wasn't blind. But yeah, but I mentioned that my dad was in the choir, and I don't know. Like in the show, do you mean?
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't have said
No.
that.
Okay. No, because I thought someone was blind, so I thought, wow.
No.
It's good that your family's into music. That's awesome.
Yeah, no, I'm very blessed that
And is it in Vancouver? We can go through this, or no?
Yeah, it's at the Arts Club Theater, so at their stage in Olympic Village.
Oh, I'd love to meet you. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks, Nancy.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Adrian. I'm very conscious that it's tomorrow for you. And so tell us what the lottery numbers are.
Yeah.
But I just really want to thank you for spending your night with us again. The second time in the VocalEye space. We're really grateful to have you here. And I wasn't kidding when I said we should have a folk song night. So maybe we'll have to bring the fugitives in, or some of the fugitives. I don't know how many want to spend their night with us, but
no, they'd love to do it. Yeah, keep us in mind.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, no, it was an absolute pleasure. I love doing this with you guys. So anytime. And I look forward to hopefully meeting a few of you at the show and talking more.
Yeah. Well, I'll definitely be there. I bought my ticket already. So
yay.
I'm the early bird.
Right
But yeah, we'll make sure that we got a nice crowd for you all in the front row. So there you go.
Awesome.
You won't miss us.
Great.
And if you hear some snoring, it'll be from the dogs. They make a presence sometimes, but there you go.
And what day is it? What day is it on?
I'll send you all the information, Nancy.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Yeah, you got it. Thank you again so much for joining us, and we'll see you at the Arts Club.
All right. Sounds good. Bye, everybody.
Thanks so much for joining us at VocalEye.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me. Bye.
VocalEye, vocaleye.ca. Special thanks to our funders, the Canada Council for the Arts, the British Columbia Arts Council, the Province of British Columbia, and the City of Vancouver.